Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday morning. The topic here today is cybersecurity, and for that matter, cyber liability, which for all of us in county government and any local unit of government know that this is at the forefront of what we are challenged with. Today, we have our partners from NACo and the Cybersecurity Collaborative. They are strategic partners not only of WCA, but also of the WCA Service Corp. Today, we have with us Brandon Natsuhara and Parm Eftekari, both from the Collaborative and from NACo. They will be going over the presentation. My name, for those who have not met me yet, is Michael Lamont. I'm the Director of Programs and Services at the Wisconsin Counties Association. And so any questions throughout this presentation, feel free to use the chat function or the Q&A. We'll be monitoring those questions. If for some reason we are unable to get to all the questions during the presentation, we will be sure to follow up. We want to be mindful of everybody's time. As we know, there are many virtual meetings and many virtual webinars that we have all been attending over the past year or so. So with that said, I will turn it over to Brandon, I believe.
Yeah, I appreciate the introduction, Michael. And again, good morning from Washington, D.C. My name is Brandon Natsuhara. I'm honored to serve as the Director of Technology Partnerships for NACo Financial Services Corp. And the Program Manager for the Cybersecurity Collaborative. And, like Michael said, understanding that time is limited and of the essence, especially as it relates to cybersecurity challenges in our current environment, definitely want to genuinely thank everybody for their time today to hear about the Cybersecurity Collaborative program and partnership. Really, the objectives of today's call are twofold. One, to just understand the severity of the current cyber situation, and then two, just share the capabilities of the NACo and WCA Cybersecurity Collaborative and how we can mitigate these potential risks. And, as you've seen in current events, this webinar is very timely given the earlier hack of the Colonial Pipeline incident. And for those of you that aren't aware of that, this is the largest oil pipeline in the U.S. that spans from Texas to New York, and it was actually hit offline because of a ransomware incident. So, we're seeing numbers around $500,000 to $5 million to get this pipeline back in operation through paying that ransomware amount. But of course, that doesn't include the loss of revenue on a daily basis, that loss of reputation that the Colonial Pipeline is going to experience for future opportunities. So, if you've been following the news in the past year, you know that this isn't just a one-off event. The impact and just the sheer volume of these attacks are just going to increase year over year. And so that's what this discussion here is all about, really to understand that cybersecurity is a dynamic and growing problem within the county, city, and school district space, and that really it requires a consistent flow of quality information to really try to position counties and our partners to really mitigate these types of risks. But before I hand it over to our partner at the Cybersecurity Collaborative, I just want to shade over some additional broad strokes of the types of stats and trends that we're seeing at NACo and that we're constantly monitoring. So just starting with a broad view of the forecasted worldwide expenditure of cybersecurity solutions, it's going to hit up to $177 billion by the end of 21. Now, that's actually relatively small considering the amount of cybersecurity related expenses due to, of course, the cost of the solution, but of course, that's cost of a data breach or ransomware. And this metric also takes into account that loss of reputation. That's going to hit $6 trillion by the end of 21. And I guess the bottom line is, here at NACo, WCA, and the Cybersecurity Collaborative, we're really trying to bolster that investment into the cybersecurity, that future stability of your organization to really try to drive down that overall cybersecurity expense for the benefit, of our county membership. Now, taking those broad strokes and really boiling it down to a micro view, you see the average cost of a data breach is going to almost hit $4 million. And this figure has been increasing again year over year, much like these other statistics. And that's going to hit around $3.86 million. Now, for ransomware, since 2019 to 2021, we've seen it go from $40,000 to $400,000. Now, this is a significant increase, and I'm sure you all have heard on the, with current events and other incidents that you may have heard of, this is only going to become more relevant and just more frequent as we continue our operations. Now, looking at our current, from last year, since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, we've actually seen a 300% increase in cyber crimes all across the board, but a specific targeted industry, of course, within state and local government. So we are a high priority target. I broke it down into three general trends. One, the talent acquisition and retention issue. These cyber analysts and these technical analysts don't grow on trees, and they're relatively pretty expensive too. So how can we provide a forum or a network to really try to leverage and make the best use of your resources by not reinventing the wheel, by looking at other resources and networks that could possibly provide value as it relates to cybersecurity? And of course, we're hearing a lot about budgetary constraints. There's a lot of funding out there, but really, how can you use that? And really, this solution, hopefully, it's affordable and it's scalable in the sense that you're going to get the best return on investment if you're going to subscribe into a type of solution that's going to hopefully mitigate a lot of risk later down the road to, again, lower that cybersecurity cost for the future. And then finally, just one overarching trend, just the need for expertise and knowledge with industry leading professionals within the cyberspace. We can't afford to be 1 to 2 years behind private industry in this respect. We need to be on par with all the cybersecurity standards to really be in the best position to protect ourselves. And these are the reasons why NACo WCA has partnered with the Cybersecurity Collaborative to provide this information sharing network to really try to equip our leaders and IT professionals with the best tools possible to just have that situational awareness. Now, before I hand it off to Parm, I definitely want to just ask some very rhetorical questions just to further level set the conversation that we're going to have here today. So just one, do you have that situational awareness of cyber incidents from the last 24 hours? Is it highly technical or is it an executive summary? Which one would you prefer? Are your policies, procedures, and practices up to date? How do you measure how effective they are in the event of a cyber incident? How do you really stress tested the policies that you have in place? And lastly, does your team have access to thought leaders in their network to connect on cyber related issues? Now, while you consider those questions, I definitely want to just pause here and see if you had any additional questions regarding the current cyber environment and to see how we can better mold this conversation to fit your needs at the county. Just hearing none, just please, like Michael, I invite you to just please participate in the chat, post any questions that you may have, and then we'll be happy to address them at the end of the forum here. And with this, I'm happy to move on to the next section and introduce Parm Eftekari, the Senior Vice President and Executive Director of the Cybersecurity Collaborative, and more importantly, alum of the University of Wisconsin-Madison. So Parm, please take it away.
Yeah, that was the most important part. Brandon, thanks for that. Great comments, and it's great to be here. I'm not only a UW Badger, I grew up in Wisconsin. I grew up in Muskego. My parents still live in Muskego. I'm coming home in a few weeks because I'm vaccinated, and so I'm really excited to be talking to this group in particular. Please don't tell our other NACo partners that, but I've been looking forward to this very, very personally. So it's great to be here. I want to thank Michael, thank the WCA, thank Brandon, and I want to thank all of you. My background's actually in public sector. I spent about a dozen years in the Beltway with some NGOs and most recently with the cybersecurity think tank. And so I have a personal affinity for public servants, which all of you are. And I know how hard you work. I know how underappreciated that you are, particularly with how crazy the media is these days. And wherever you sit on the spectrum doesn't really matter. There's just not enough resources supporting you and enough appreciation. So I just genuinely want to, first of all, say thank you for the work you do to support our country. It's very important, and we're grateful for it. I'm here to talk, as Brendan said, about how the Cybersecurity Collaborative can help you be more successful in securing your county. He did a great job, summarizing the threats that are out there and level setting at the end of the conversation. Some of the things that you should be thinking about and probably are thinking about with respect to how you can improve the resiliency. At the end of the day, regardless of how big your county is, you're under constant attack. There's insecure and poorly designed technologies that are being given to you to run the day-to-day affairs of your counties. And there's adversaries from Russia and China and Korea, as well as financially motivated, cyber adversaries who are looking to exploit those vulnerabilities to the detriment of your county and your citizens. And so what this program is designed to do is give you resources to be more successful. Many of you have access to other services like MSISAC and other government tools that are out there. All of our members, we have a lot of members from commercial sector. We have a lot of county members from across the country. They all have access to the ISACs. What you should look at us as is another tool in your tool belt. We are a force multiplier to help you, get the additional guidance, additional strategic capabilities to really drill down into the specific needs that you have. One of the most common questions we get is, and I'm going to just address it right out of the gate, is, how do you differ from the MSISAC? The MSISAC has about 75,000 members, and it's very difficult for counties to be able to call them up and say, here's what my specific need is, and how can you help me specifically, coming from northern Wisconsin. Well, with us as a member, you can do that. When you join our organization, you get assigned a personal concierge, and you get to call them up and say, here's what I'm trying to work on right now. Here's my specific issue and challenge. How can you help me? And that person points you to tools and resources in the library. They will connect you with other members within the community to help you solve those problems, to validate your strategy. You will be on calls and in task force working groups and in sessions with other county leaders, as well as other private sector organizations who are part of the collaborative, where you can learn from them and validate your strategies and ask questions. And so really what we exist to do is not just give you kind of broad brush, high level ideas that you got to figure out on your own, but give you tools specific to your use case within your county. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of those ways that we do that. So let me go ahead and get through the deck. Just to let you know, we are a membership built by and for cybersecurity executives. We have no sponsors. There are no vendors in our community that will be selling you anything. There's not even any analysts that are going to try to tell you their perspectives. It's all cybersecurity experts from counties and from the private sector who are kind of in the trenches, living where you're living, experiencing your same pains. We're going to be sharing best practices and knowledge with you. And that's really the beauty of what we do. And here are just some of the counties and cities and school districts that are the members, as well as a small sample of the private sector organizations we work with as well. I'm going to get into the benefits of what we offer as services, and then I'll actually show you the members portal and show you how we do what it is that we do. But I think it's important for you to understand the value that we offer. This is all about you as you're sitting in your organization doing your day-to-day job. It's about validating your strategies, right? You have a limited pool of resources. We want to make sure that you're making the right decisions with your money and with the county's money, and that you're doing the right things. Well, as a member of our organization, you can validate your strategies and your decisions with your peers. You can integrate best practices that other people are doing into your programs and into your initiatives. You can actually save money and save resources, as I'll show you in a moment, because instead of hiring consultants to build policies and checklists and frameworks, we already have those. You can just pull them out of our library, and instead of having consultants and your contractors or your employees build those, we'll just use ours, and you can be 70–80% along the way and just customize them for your use cases and save that money and save that time on other more value added projects. We have, many of you probably are familiar with the Professional Development Academy. We actually have a license, complimentary license for our members for their 12-week program and other leadership programs as well to improve the soft skills that are so important in being successful. And for some of you, that's important. We have opportunities to get your name out there and be a leader within Wisconsin and around the country through speaking and other types of opportunities. So as we go through the rest of the deck, just think about these bullet points here and how we're able to create value for you on the global stage. And I see a couple questions. I'm going to see if I can click on that without. Oh, perfect. Actually, some good links that are being shared there. So thank you for that. Let me keep going here. I'm going to skip through the slide here. The collaborative is actually part of a larger organization. So some of the reasons that we are able to do what we do in such an effective way is because we're part of a larger portfolio of companies, and we get access to a significant amount of resources from media and research and other organizations that we partner with that are part of our sister companies of ours. So let me get right into the benefits of being a membership. When you join as a member of the Cybersecurity Collaborative, there's three main kind of buckets of services that we offer. The first is strategic government threat intelligence. This comes in the form of a morning security report that you receive every day. Now, you're probably going to think, well, I get a lot of newsletters. This is not very helpful for me. I'm gonna stop that line of thinking right there. The morning security report is probably one of the most valued services that we offer. Essentially, one of the worst things that can happen is your boss coming to you saying, "Did you see this? What are we doing about it?" And you being caught off guard. This is a report that is created by researchers from one of our sister companies that I just mentioned, right? That's a research organization. It's curated. There's no ads. There's no event invitations. It's pure research, synthesized in a couple sentences that will give you situational awareness from a strategic perspective. It's not indicators of compromise that come from the MSI-SAC. It says things like Office 365 users have a vulnerability that they need to be aware of. And you say, oh, that's great. Or this malware group has been exploiting users of a certain type of ERP system, or a certain counties that are using this type of technology. And you may read that headline and it may not apply to you, but when it does apply to you, it's very powerful. We actually had an example where one of the headlines one day was related to a county, which I don't want to name because it might be embarrassing for them. But the county was mentioned in the headline as being having a breach in one of their systems. It's a large county. The county itself was not aware that this news was out there about a breach on their network. And so by us reporting on them, the county was alerted. The county got their public affairs and communications involved, reached out to the media outlet and said, you have misrepresented what's happened here. This is actually inaccurate reporting. And they got to get ahead of the story. And actually, from what we understand, contacted the mayor's office and said, hey, I'm not sure if you saw this or not, but we did. And basically was able to go on record as clarifying what happened. But I think, and we're reading between the lines here, for those in charge of that, the security executives probably did some damage control with the mayor's office and with some of those folks, on the policy side and on the kind of legislative side of things. So you can see how this can be a very important tool for you being responsible for security. The second kind of bucket of services that we offer is around that validation and collaboration and connecting with your peers, right? This is really the core of what we do. When you join as a member, you have an opportunity to get involved in task force working groups and in other types of opportunities to share best practices and lessons learned. And let me take a step back and talk about how this happens. We have member services that will constantly be reaching out to you to ask you, what are your biggest challenges? What are you working on? You may be saying, I'm trying to migrate legacy applications to the cloud. I'm trying to build and deploy multi-factor authentication. I'm trying to implement and just start and build out my baseline of policies. When you give us that information, or when you proactively reach out to us and say, hey, I'm trying to do these things, how can you help me? We will activate a series of services and get you plugged into these things to help you be more successful. On the kind of collaboration and connecting side, we have a number of things that we offer. We have task force working groups. These are groups of members that get together every couple of weeks for 2-3 months and actually share best practices and lessons learned on different topics. They're facilitated by our members. And at the end of the process, there's a document that's created that's captured all that knowledge. Right now, for example, we have one that was inspired by our county members around cloud security. They're talking about how do you identify hidden costs when migrating to the cloud. They're talking about what are the best ways to create a checklist. So when you're migrating your applications to the cloud, you know what questions to ask and know how to migrate to the cloud securely. That task force has been meeting for a couple of months now. And now that they're almost done, our members are going to have access to a couple checklists. So they can download those, and our county members can now go to potential cloud vendors and not have to assume, try to figure out on their own what questions to ask, but use these task force created tools as a guide to help them on their cloud journey. We have other task forces right now on issues like third-party risk management, which is all about the SolarWinds issue, as well as asset management, which is another big issue as well. We have another service called the CISO Rapid Response. This is more when you're dealing with an immediate challenge. I want to be clear, this is not an incident response. You know, we don't do incident response. That's what DHS and the FBI are for. This is about being proactive. Let's say you're evaluating a vendor and you have a question. You say, look, I got a vendor pitch. Seems like an interesting product. I want to know what my peers are thinking. Have they ever used them? Do they think it's a good idea or not? Is it worth the cost? Recently, an example is somebody said, I want to evaluate if air gapping is a good solution against ransomware. Somebody asked a question and about 10 or so members said, nope, that's not the way to do it, and offered alternative solutions. That's a good example of how this could work. And we also have, of course, a private direct messaging for members to collaborate. And this is a way you can talk to not only members within Wisconsin, but around the country. I see a number of questions here, so I'm going to pause. Oh, these are just hellos, so I'm going to keep going. So I think the next category is tools and training. I'm going to get to in the demo in a moment. We have a very powerful and very robust library of tools, policies, and checklists. This is probably one of the most beneficial and most valuable things we hear about from our counties. And this is where you can actually really save literally tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars over the year of your membership. This is literally a repository of CISO developed resources where you can download and use to implement and affect change across your organization. And I'll show you some examples of this, but these are things like security policies to implement and build out your program. These are checklists to improve your ransomware program, to secure your return to work policy, to secure your Zoom environments, right, which is a big deal. And again, the really important thing about this is that it's driven by the members. So if you, as a new member, come to us and say, here's my my latest and greatest challenge, this is how we keep this library fresh. It's not because sponsors come to us and say, hey, we want to push content around things and then we get paid by them to do it. The members come to us and say, here's what's important to us. So the case in point, our members right now have been telling us that zero trust security is very important. We want guidance in tools and checklists around how to build zero trust programs. They're telling us that the pandemic is coming to an end and we're going to have these hybrid workforce environments and we got to figure out how to secure that. So we're kicking off working groups that will create tools and checklists and policy guides that will go in this library. We know that insider threats for some of our larger counties and municipalities and commercial sector folks is an important issue. And academic organizations, UW-Madison is actually one of our members, right? So we're going to have some insider threat guidance. And so that's how we come up with these things. So I'll show you in a moment what the library looks like. It's incredible and will save you a lot of money, time, and resources. We also have the 12-week Cybersecurity Academy program from the Professional Development Academy. I'm sure a lot of you have gone through the PDA. If you haven't, it's a great program. As a member of, you actually receive one free seat to go through their 12-week program. And you will receive discounts on additional seats. So it's a fantastic program developed in partnership with General Colin Powell, as you can see there, and you get access to it through this program. And finally, we have other types of different workshops on a number of issues, and again, all driven by the needs of the members. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the demo itself. So I'm now going to show you guys our member portal. So this is our homepage of our members portal. So when you log in, first of all, you need to understand, as a member, we don't get cute with our members and say, join as an organization, and then everyone who gets access needs to pay an extra, $500. We don't do any of that. Your county joins, and anyone you want in the county, who's an employee of your county, I should say, gets access to the portal, gets access to that morning security report, gets access to the webinars and events and things like that. Very straightforward, very cost effective. We'll talk about pricing in a moment. So we don't have the licensing model that so many other companies do. That is how they kind of get you in terms of pricing. So we don't do anything like that. There's one annual fee. We have a preferred discount, preferred pricing for NACo and for government, which makes it very easy. So as a member, you get access to this members portal. You see here that you log in, you see kind of upcoming briefings and task forces. I'll show you all that in a moment. I first want to start with the morning security report, as I mentioned. Now, this does get emailed to you every morning at 6:30, so 5:30 a.m. Wisconsin time. So you see there's historical ones in here. You can always go through if you miss. But let's start with what's happening today. Today, you'll see here that the information we shared include there's a new flaw that's been affecting all Wi-Fi devices. There's a new ransomware advisory from DarkSide that's been, I'm sure you guys have all seen it, right? There's new extortion coming out from ransomware. Microsoft, if you use a Microsoft Novell, there's new malware come out. If you guys have Android on your networks and use their financial apps, there's some alerts there. If you use MetaMask and Trust Wallet, there's new scams going out there. So you can see here how they're very specific. And what's really important here is that is the time it saves. You can scan the headlines. If they don't apply to you, you move on. And that's what's really important. We've done the work for you. We've summarized it. And so if it doesn't apply to you, you say, great, there's nothing I really need to be aware of today. But if you see something that catches your eye, you say, oh my gosh, I got to pay attention to that because that's something I have on my network. That's something I've deployed in my ecosystem. That's when you know you got to read it, and either you take care of it or you send it to whoever it is that needs to take care of that. And that's where this has become really valuable. You get emails from counties, municipalities, all the way up to Fortune 200 CISOs and cybersecurity executives who say, this strategic intelligence feed has saved saved me many times. And what's really interesting is that you can use it strategically as part of, we're seeing an increasing trend. As I said, there's no licenses. People will use this as a cybersecurity awareness and training tool because it isn't actually very technical, the summaries and everything. So you can actually sign up your IT teams. You can sign up your employees. If you have people at the county commissioner's office or other areas, you can actually have them sign up to receive this. They may not act on it, but it is a way to continuously remind everybody of all the attacks that are going on and how prevalent and consistent cybersecurity is. And it's a great and free cybersecurity awareness training tool that we offer. And a lot of people are using it for those reasons. Another really powerful component of this is the Cybersecurity Collaborative Handbook. A lot of counties and municipalities are really just getting their cybersecurity program started. This Cybersecurity Handbook is comprised of 9 different steps, where we basically walk through and help you step by step build out your cybersecurity program. I'm not going to get into each of these because it's very detailed, and we could spend basically a day walking through this. But as you can see, the steps are everything from, are you new to a CISO, to moving along to, you know, setting up your baseline, to building out your program. And if you can read here, it gets into a lot of different components to how to build out your program. So do you need your governance playbook? Well, we have some guidance and some tools around that. Do you need to build out a bring your own device set of policies? Well, we have policies and guidance that you can download to start to build your bring your own device to work guidance. Moving down here, do you need to build out a cloud playbook? We have that in here. Do you have a cloud assessment checklist? We have that built in here. This handbook is in all totality, it's 83 pages of just the handbook, which tells you how to use all these additional tools. There's about 24 different tools that connect to it. And this is literally kind of your CISO in a box handbook that ties a lot of the tools that we have together. It's extremely powerful, particularly if you are a small kind of rural county that's just trying to figure out where do I start and how do I get my footing with regards to building a cybersecurity program. And again, because we offer that concierge service where you can call up your, you know, the member services, you can call them up and say, I'm just getting started. Can you kind of walk me through how to start using the handbook? That's what we do. That's what this is about. We also obviously have just the library of tools, right? So it's just loading. So we do have our member content library. This is constantly being updated with additional content. So this is just, updated in chronological order. You see that we have webinars that and content that gets added in here, but essentially you can come in here and see what you're looking for. So let's say you want something related to ransomware. See if I can spell that correctly and search for it and say like, gosh, ransomware is really, really critical to me. What do you have on ransomware? So we have all these different pieces of content that's related to ransomware. And we want to look for planning for a ransomware attack. So let's see what this is. So this is a, you can obviously download things, but you can also view it here. And so this is a popular, content that we have where it's a checklist that allows you to see how ready you are for ransomware attack. It kind of checks your readiness to defend and protect. Have you done a full system inventory? Do you have backup and recovery in place? Have you segmented your network? Kind of on and on and on. So this is where the the power of this library comes into place. I've already pulled up some other things. This is a 10 key security policies. This is a long document, as you can see, it's 115 pages. When I mentioned about how much money you can save, this is something where it's very detailed. It is we've been told by very, very large organizations, these are, to be candid, these are commercial sector organizations like Fortune 500, that this document has saved them up to $200,000 in consulting fees. On the county side, depending how big you are, it may not be that much savings, but easily what you can do is take this, the table of contents is even pretty deep, but this is where, if you're saying, I need to build out my security policies, we have it all here. And if you go into it, I don't know if it'll jump ahead, you see how it says company, right? Well, you just customize this. So why would you hire a consultant to build all this for you when we have it? And you can just now take this and customize it for your county. There's no reason to hire somebody. Just take this and copy paste it. That's what it's here for. And this was taken from and put together by cybersecurity executives from our membership. This is an example of what we do. We're building something like this right now around asset management programs, around third-party risk programs. So instead of hiring somebody to come and build an asset management program for you, in about 30 to 60 days, we will have a framework that you can take and use that framework to build your own asset management program. You may want to hire somebody maybe to come in, maybe grow it for you if you need to, but frankly, most organizations don't, because the content that we have is very robust and well thought out. And finally, I want to show you the task forces. Oops, my screen is in the way. Here we go. So these are the task forces that I was mentioning. The portal always have information about active task forces. So right now we have, these 4 different task forces. We're going to be launching a couple soon. You can see when the next meetings are. You can click into here and request to join one. Has a little bit of a description about them, and then of course we have information about completed task forces. We had a return to work in a pandemic environment, awareness and training, and then when you click into these, we have the content that was developed. So we always have tools that are developed out of task forces. This actually shows what the task force developed, and you can download the collateral. And again, if you ever want to talk to member services, you just click your member request button and you can get in touch with us. So I'm going to pause right there. I know I dumped a lot of information. Oh, I guess, I'm sorry. The one final thing I did want to show you was our virtual briefing. So, we always have upcoming events that we have going on. So you can see that we have an asset management program, presentation, third-party risk management. We have this great briefings and webinars that are always available for our members on different topics. And again, the feedback we receive is what we present for you. So I'm gonna pause right there and see what questions we have from the community.
Hey, Bob, we have a few questions here. One is going to be multi-part. So
yeah.
How do the private sector counterparts interact with the county members? I imagine their problems may be extremely different from county members. Are there forums that are exclusively county oriented?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have what we do is 2 things. The way that we look at it is there's the maturity of the organization, and then there is the vertical basically that the organization sits in, and that's true of any, whether it's government or not government. So task forces, where I mentioned the task force, the task forces are a blend of government and county and private sector. And what we're hearing from our county members is they enjoy the opportunity to hear from the private sector for 2 reasons. One is that a lot of times private sector has more money to spend. It's kind of nice to hear from them what they've done, what they've, particularly on vendor tools, and where they've been able to test the tools, play with the tools, and learn what's worked, what hasn't worked, and not be able to kind of make the same mistakes that the private sector has had, and just learn from them. This cross-sector collaboration is very valuable, and learning from the private sector is very, very valuable. So there is an opportunity in the direct messaging and in the task forces to have that collaboration if you so desire, and that's the whole point of this. However, we are we are launching, and there does exist exclusive opportunities just for sectors. So for example, we have a Global Leaders Council that's just for Fortune 500 members. We have certain boardrooms that are just for a certain tier of our membership. And we starting next month, actually, because we now have a certain critical mass of county leaders as members, and county and city, I should say, kind of state and local government is a better way to put it. We are having and launching a monthly state and local government only collaboration session. So we have both options, and I really do believe, and I've been doing this collaboration. I've been in the collaboration business basically for technology and cyber leaders for about 15 years now. That cross-sector collaboration has its benefits, but there's also a reality where industries have their own unique challenges that require segmentation. So what we've done is create an environment where you can cross-sector collaborate and you can be siloed when you need to. So we offer both.
And we have two additional questions. So one being, is there a trial pilot license that I can use to test drive the features?
What we do offer is a 30-day free trial to the morning security report, which we'll be happy to, it'd be very easy for us to just opt everyone in on who's registered for this. And you'd receive a government version of the morning security report, which actually prioritizes government headlines at the top, which is what our government members receive automatically. So that we do have. We don't have a free trial for the membership because it's, things like the task force. It's a process. It's about building relationships. It's about being part of this collaborative process to exchange best practices and lessons learned. Attending one meeting, you'll get a feel for it. But it's very difficult for us. What we've experienced and learned over doing this for several years is that individuals and organizations that only attend one hour session, a lot of times they might end up missing the meeting. B, to be quite candid, this is a very intimate, exclusive group of leaders, and the task forces are 20, 30 people. It's not a group of 50 or 75 people, because they're niche topics, right? Of those 4 topics you saw on the task forces, probably one of them is of interest to you at a time. That's kind of how it works. And so, these meetings have different numbers of people, and the trial would have to be 3-4 months for it to really give you the full benefit of the 12-week leadership development program and the 3-month task force and things like that. So the trial that we offer is the 30-day morning security report, and we do have samples of content that we can send you. And those things will be made available to this group.
Got it. And final question. Are all these features included as a member of the Cybersecurity Collaborative? And I guess I'm interpreting it like, are these features a la carte?
Yeah, and I just realized that in my demo, I forgot to talk about the most important part, which is the pricing. I apologize. I'm not trying to be coy about this. Let me go to that. Let me go back to the PowerPoint. So here's the pricing. I really apologize, I forgot to do that. We recognize that, and at the government level, we have different, size counties with different, and regardless of your county size, you have different needs. So we have 3 different membership tiers. We have an all access, a premium, and the essentials. And essentially what we've done is create a graduating scale for what members receive. So at the essentials level, which is essentially $5,000 a month, what you receive is the access to that members portal with all those tools. You get that daily morning security report. You get access to the direct messaging to collaborate anytime, anywhere. You get the 12-week leadership program, and you get access to those workshops that I mentioned, right? So we made it very affordable, and access to those core things. If you want to layer on those task force working groups that I mentioned, that brings you up to our premium tier, which is at the $12,500 level. Essentially, the way I look at it is that if you're really just looking to receive information, you just say, look, I'm a small organization. I don't really have time to get involved in participating in collaboration. I just want to kind of download and receive content, which is where a lot of people are. That essentials level is for you. If you're at a point, and if you have time, and if you have a team where you say, God, it'd be really valuable for me to get involved in working groups. And when I say working groups, you're not really doing a lot. You're not doing work, but you want to get involved. You want to meet for an hour every couple of weeks and exchange ideas and ask questions and share your perspectives. If you want to be that involved in the collaboration piece, that premium level is where you want to be. It's extremely valuable, but it means that you value it to the point where you're going to carve out 2, 3, 4 hours a month to do it. And we all know that sometimes you just don't have that time. The all access is for those who are at the highest end of the time commitment, right? Who value collaboration that much, because this is where you're going to have access to those CISO rapid responses, to the CISO boardrooms, which are just additional private boardroom sessions that we set up with some very high profile national security executives. These are people from the NSA, the FBI, who are doing kind of unclassified briefings. And you get the CISO rapid responses is that service that I mentioned where if you have a question on something, you can always at any time post it in the direct message, in the private direct message that we have. The CISO rapid response just means that a member of our team will actually take your question and we'll email it to the whole membership, and we'll actually work one-on-one with you to set up a private roundtable with peers. So let's say again, you really want to talk to a couple people because you have an audit coming up and you're not sure how to address it, or you're trying to set up a 2-factor authentication program and you really just want to talk to a couple people who've been through it. That CISO rapid response is when we will guarantee essentially that you'll get some one-on-one time or one-on-two time with some other experts who've done it. So we do have a la carte. This is how it's not a la carte, it's kind of grouped a la carte. And it really, the way to look at it is, how much do you value the collaboration piece, and do you have time for it? And if so, we offer options for that. And obviously, as you can see, we've offered a government discount, and this is thanks to the partnership that we have with WCA, through NACo. I think I see a couple other. No, this is an annual fee. This is annual fee. Yeah, this is annual pricing. And again, this is for the county. So this is not per seat. And just to clarify the language on the top there, the county would pay this for the entire county. It's unlimited licenses. So what we do, because we got to have a primary point of contact, your county would say our primary member is the CIO or the IT director, or if you have a chief information security officer, which many of you may not have, or whomever, you would assign one primary point of contact. That person might assign 1 or 2 delegates. If you're involved in task forces and like CISO rapid responses, typically it's those 2 or 3 people that end up attending all those, right? However, you can give us, we literally have, this wouldn't apply for counties, but we have people who've given us 200 names to get the morning security report. So there honestly is no limit with regards to how many people access, get the morning security report emails, get invited to listen in on webinars. I think the most, at the county level, the most we have is, I think, 10 or 15 people who get access to the portal. It's not a restriction that we've put on, it's just the most that's organically happened. But to reiterate, there is no licensing limit on this. This is a countywide benefit. Are there any other questions from anybody with regards to the membership or some of the challenges and the topics and themes that we're facing? I think one of the last things, I don't want to belabor this. We can give you guys some time back on your calendar, but I think in general, the thing that's important to walk away from this is we really, and this is how the most successful members use us, is we are an extension of your team. This is not meant to be something where you just log into the portal once a month and do a search to see what tools, what's in there, and then download a document and then show up to a webinar. We really want to be, like Connor and Troy and Foss and these guys, like, and myself, we know our members, we know what they're working on, we know their names, we know their challenges, we know the government market. I mean this humbly, but I'm the board chair of a cybersecurity think tank in DC. I engage with Congress. I was brought here to the collaborative to bring that insights to serve our members and to empower our community. And so the reason I had that slide earlier about all the other organizations that we're partnered with is because we're tapping into that energy and that knowledge to drive more success for you guys. And so this is not a static relationship. We want our members to reach out to us and say, I am struggling with this. How can you help me? And that's how this works. And so it really is meant to be truly a partnership. We're a mission-driven organization. I've always been in nonprofits. This is my first not nonprofit entity, organization. So that's really the way in which we operate. And so we're here to help. We're excited about the opportunity to work with you guys, particularly the Wisconsin folks, but all the counties out there. So if there's no more questions, Brandon or Michael, I'll hand it back to you. And I just want to say again, it'll be a privilege to work with you guys and look forward to it.
Yeah, thank you, Parm. Thank you, Brandon. Many of you have met Brandon before. We've had a series of cybersecurity webinars that we've hosted when Brandon has been on. It's great to introduce Parm to everyone. This is really an opportunity for all counties of any size to become part of the collaborative. I think one of the great features that Parm talked about is that this is a community. It's a community of officials, IT directors, others that have the same challenges that you do. It's also a community where we're not trying to sell you anything. I know there's a lot of that out there as well, and that can become, its own personal job itself. So I think there's great opportunity here. Obviously, if there's any follow-up questions, you can reach out directly to Brandon or Parm or myself at the association. But we really feel strongly about the collaborative. We've met with Brandon and Parm over the last year, forming this relationship, looking into this pricing, and really trying to get this model into Wisconsin counties and other local units of government. For some counties, they may have an IT director, others it may be the clerk, others it may be the finance director who's looking at cybersecurity. I can tell you from the cyber liability side, where I serve and work for the Wisconsin County Mutual and Community Insurance Corporation, when you think about a cyber liability claim that might come through, I'll never see one as small as $5,250. So if you think that you can spend that money and save yourself from those types of claims, you really have an opportunity here. So again, thank you, everyone. We'll give you 7 minutes back this morning, and have a great rest of the week.